In a crowded classroom, a young black student sat quietly, clutching his notebook, his dreams bubbling inside him. But instead of encouragement, he was met with cruelty. His teacher, standing tall at the front, smirked and declared for the whole class to hear, "You'll never amount to anything. You're useless." The room erupted with laughter, and the boy's cheeks burned with shame. Every word cut deep, planting seeds of doubt. But what that teacher didn't realize was that the very student she mocked would spend years turning that pain into power. And a decade later, in a stunning twist of fate, the tables would turn when she walked nervously into his office, begging for a job. The small suburban high school was filled with eager students, but not everyone thrived. Michael Carter, a quiet but determined black teenager, was one of them. He came from a working-class family, raised by a single mother who worked long hours at a diner. Despite their struggles, she always told him, "Your dreams are worth chasing no matter what anyone says." Michael loved learning, especially about business and technology. He dreamed of starting his own company one day, but not everyone believed in him. His teacher, Mrs. Whitman, was known for her sharp tongue and favoritism. She praised the wealthy kids, the athletes, and the straight-A students. But for kids like Michael, she had only disdain. One day during class, after Michael stumbled through an answer, Mrs. Whitman sighed loudly, shaking her head. "You, running a company?" she mocked. "You can barely get through this lesson. Honestly, you're useless. You'll never amount to anything." The classroom erupted in laughter. Michael froze, fighting back tears. It wasn't the first insult, but it was the most public. He left school that day humiliated, her words echoing in his mind. But instead of breaking him, that cruelty lit a fire inside him. He vowed to himself, "One day, I'll prove her wrong." Michael poured himself into learning. At first, it wasn't easy. He struggled, stumbled, and faced ridicule from classmates who repeated Mrs. Whitman's words. But each insult only hardened his resolve. He studied late into the night, taught himself coding and business strategies from free online resources, and even launched small projects in his neighborhood. His mother supported him in every way she could, reminding him that intelligence wasn't measured by grades or approval from teachers, but by perseverance. Years passed, and Michael's hard work paid off. By the time he graduated college, he had already started a small tech company. Through sheer determination, he secured investors, built a team, and grew his business into a thriving enterprise. By his late 20s, Michael was the CEO of a multi-million-dollar firm, employing dozens of people and transforming ideas into innovations. His company's headquarters stood tall in the city skyline, a testament to resilience and vision. But despite his success, he never forgot that day in the classroom. He never forgot the sting of Mrs. Whitman's words, words that nearly crushed him, but instead became fuel for his journey. And then, fate came knocking. One rainy afternoon, Michael's HR department informed him about a new applicant for a mid-level administrative role. When they handed him the file, his heart skipped a beat. The name on the resume, Eleanor Whitman, his old teacher, the same woman who once called him useless, was now seeking employment at his company. Michael sat back in his chair, emotions swirling. Should he reject her, confront her, or let fate deliver its own justice? He scheduled the interview. The day of the interview arrived. Mrs. Whitman walked into the sleek, modern office lobby, clutching her bag nervously. Life had not been kind to her. Retirement savings had dwindled, and after being let go from her last school, she needed work desperately. She was ushered into Michael's office, now a polished CEO's corner suite with floor-to-ceiling windows, overlooking the city. She entered with a forced smile, but froze when she saw him. Michael Carter, no longer the quiet boy in her classroom, but a confident, successful man in a tailored suit, sitting behind the CEO's desk. For a moment, her face drained of color. She stammered, "Michael, you run this place?" He nodded calmly. "Welcome to Carter Technologies. Please, have a seat." She fumbled through her words, trying to explain her qualifications, her experience, but her voice shook. Deep down, she knew he remembered. Finally, Michael leaned forward, his eyes steady. "Funny," he said quietly. "I still remember the day you told me I'd never amount to anything, that I was useless." The room fell silent. Mrs. Whitman's lips trembled. For the first time, the power dynamic was reversed. Michael could have humiliated her, just as she had humiliated him, but instead, he let the silence speak. The truth hung heavy in the air. She had been wrong. In the end, Michael didn't reject her out of spite. Instead, he chose something far more powerful: grace. "I believe in giving people chances," he finally said. "Something I never got from you. This company is built on lifting others up, not tearing them down." Mrs. Whitman sat speechless, her pride shattered. She realized, perhaps too late, that the boy she mocked had grown into a man, defined not by her words, but by his own resilience. She got the job, not because she deserved mercy, but because Michael understood a truth she had never taught. Greatness isn't about belittling others, it's about rising above cruelty. For Michael, success was never about money or power. It was about proving that no one has the right to define another's future. And when people tried, the best revenge was not revenge at all, but success, dignity, and compassion. As he left the office that evening, Michael thought back to his mother's words. "Your dreams are worth chasing, no matter what anyone says." She had been right, and now his story became a lesson for countless others. When someone calls you useless, remember, their words reflect their limits, not yours.